The following is a paid commercial program. The views expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its sponsors, advertisers, staff, management, or ownership.
Good morning. You are listening to News Talk 730 KYYA. It is time for Let's Stay Healthy Montana, brought to you by Montana Harvest Food and Supplements. Montana Harvest specializes in gluten-free, GMO-free, organic, and concentrated food sources of dense nutritional value. And they have people who actually help you. So if you need to get healthy and you want to help take your life back, get on over to Montana Harvest Food and Supplements. Give us 30 days and we'll give you your life back. Here's your host, Joe Gary.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Let's Stay Healthy. I'm Joe Gary, along with Jeremy Mahoney, our production engineer. We have Michael Ray, and we have a special guest with us from Garden of Life. That's Lynn Vitale. Vitale?
Yeah, Vitale.
You got it.
Good.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, before we get going here, is there any announcements that you'd like to make at this particular time, Michael? If there isn't, so be it.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to let everybody know again that we have the Garden of Life elderberry syrups, gummy bears, and also their turmeric gummy bears and tablets on sale. It's a store, and we have $3 off coupons. They're limited, so come in. We're selling out of them quick, so come in and get them as we enter into this colder weather here in Montana. Things start happening. People start getting flus and viruses, and they begin to manifest and generate. So it's a good time to really boost the immune system. And I know Amber's going to be talking about the immune system, among other things, today with us. And we're excited to have you on, Amber. With that said,
yeah, here's the great sadness, and I'll see what Amber's take is on that, is that there's no reason to be sick in the winter. I mean, it's basically most people have a really depressed immune system, and they've had it for a very long time. And we're seeing the immune system having a huge problem with most people because it's so bad, and the body can't even create antibodies when it goes through the spleen, with the white blood cells. And basically, people are actually dying of paper cuts now. There's been recorded things, especially in Las Vegas. There was 3 or 4 people that died from paper cuts because the body couldn't respond to it. But anyway, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, true. One quick thing before we introduce Amber is we're constantly dealing with these microorganisms, viruses, bacteria, funguses, and especially, a lot of these different pathogens and parasites. And so the body's always taking heavy hits on the immune system. So you have to constantly boost it. You have to constantly revive it. And a good way to do that is with a lot of natural herbs and supplements. So with that said, Amber, talk to us about the immune system.
Hi there.
Hey.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm glad we got your last name straight. We apologize.
Me too, Lord. Wow, I thought it used to be bad back in the day, but now it seems even worse. It's all right. So, I mean, my background is integrative nutrition and also Ayurvedic medicine, and Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine especially look at our immune system. It doesn't function separately. You can't even boost it separately or support it separately. It's so integrated with your overall cellular health and wellness. And even thousands of years ago, they were already describing what later became known as cells, and also the whole little tiny parts of cells and even atoms. So there was an awareness that there was this microscopic life that was going on inside of us. And they never tried to just kill something, the way that modern germ theory was developed, starting in the 17 and 1800s, of just something, an antibiotic, something that can kill these beastly microorganisms that cause these evil spirits and make us all sick. This battle that we've waged against pathogenic organisms it's left us weaker in many ways, because instead of building up the microorganisms, whether it's on our skin, like you refer to with the paper cuts, or, in our guts, or, in our eyes, or even in our nose. The nose, we'll get to the nose, a great example, the nasal passages. you have to have a host of neutral to beneficial microorganisms that keep the balance. There's always going to be organisms that can become pathogenic. It's a question of how many of them are there. I think of it like teenagers. If you got kids, you got teenagers, and your kid's a pretty good kid, but your kid has some friends who can get a little rowdy. But the 4 or 5 of them, it's not a big deal. They come over, they're ordering pizza, they're playing video games. They get a little loud. They start wrestling. They knock some things over. Not a big deal. Can handle it. They're still good kids. But you'll go out of town for the weekend. One of their, not so good friends convinces them to have a party and pull up a truck and some kegs and blare the music. And pretty soon, all those good kids, under certain pressures, become bad. And they destroy your house, and you come home after the weekend, and it's a mess, right? The whole risky business theme, right? So I think of microorganisms that way. And we have to be able to maintain a balance. And part of maintaining immune system balance is about keeping the microorganism balance, but also the detoxification pathways in our own cells running smoothly. And I think part of the problem today is that not only do our cells not have what they need to detoxify what they make in, making nutrients, putting things together, making energy is an oxidative process. You have to make antioxidants to neutralize the oxidative process of just producing energy. And so if you're redirecting all of that antioxidant and detox mechanisms towards clearing out the air that you're breathing, the food that you're eating, the alcohol you're drinking, the medications you're taking, the toxins in your water, the things you don't even know about, the artificial ingredients, the plastics, you name it. Our systems are overburdened, and the cells can't perform the functions that they need. And tissues in the Ayurvedic tradition get nutrients on a hierarchical basis, and kind of the last 2 are your nervous and reproductive system. There isn't an immune tissue in Ayurvedic medicine. There's lymphatic, and that's the first tissue to get nutrients. But then you get down to the nervous system, because that's really, if you think about us as animals and as early humans, the nervous system is your fight or flight or your rest and relax response, right? Mm-hmm. And if your nervous system is always in fight or flight, you're not going to grow, you're not going to reproduce, you're going to be always nervous, you're not going to sleep, and you're going to die early.
Well, let me ask you
this. And that's essentially the state of mind that we're always in.
Yeah, let me ask you this, because you brought up detoxification, and I believe that it's a priority in the body, because talk about the relationship between the lymphatic system and the white blood cells, because obviously that is a necessary component for detoxing the body and continually, you refer to it as balancing the immune system, but we know that whenever you go through an episode, the white blood cells, a lot of them die off, so there has to be a rebuilding, or new white blood cells have to come into existence, but the body has to detox a lot of this stuff that's I'm going to call it battle debris when we go through these different episodes. So talk about that, because I think there's some really great parallel truths that you are bringing up.
Casualties of war, Yeah. Isn't it true that what we experience as the achiness of a flu, the mucus of a cold, the fever, all this stuff is in reaction to all that battle debris, actually. You might get a little tired as your body goes to fight off an organism or a toxification situation, but it's the battle debris that makes you feel all the symptoms of being sick, right? Isn't that kind of it's the interesting thing about being sick? We think that because we have all this mucus that's what indicates that we're sick. That actually indicates our immune system is functioning. It's actually trying to flush all this stuff out. So you have to break all that down. The lymphatic system has to carry it out. The lymphatic system not only brings nutrients to tissues, but carries waste out. And your lymphatic nodes are like these way stations, like transit stations where debris and garbage gets transferred onto some other boat, basically. And if they get blocked up, you feel swollen lymph nodes, you don't clear out as well. And so a lot of your herbals are designed to move things through the lymphatics, to support the cells and nutrients in, toxins out, to alter what in Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine would be the temperature, like to purge heat at the end of the summer. Elderberry does that really well. You know, things like andrographis and rhodiola schisandra bitters do that. And to help you prepare for the seasonal changes to come. What we don't look at in Western medicine a lot is the hot, the cold, the moist, the dry, the stimulating, the calming of the herbals that we use, or even the foods that we use. And we don't realize that at the end of the summer, we've often accumulated a lot of toxicity, even from overheating your body, and haven't purged that out going into the seasonal change. And we are overloaded with a toxicity, not necessarily from metals or, pollution or anything like that, but just an accumulation. And if we don't cleanse that out, we are going to be susceptible to getting sick. And a cold in Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine doesn't necessarily mean a virus. It's a state of being. It's a state of being. It doesn't have to even be an infectious organism, but your body needs to purge stuff out. And these, even like elderberry, even turmeric, oregano oil, these things, they do have qualities that help you to transition to a new season. And I know you've got seasons in Montana.
Sure, yeah. Really good point. One reason I kind of wanted to bring the turmeric in is because, like what you just described, as we go through these episodes, and we do get inflammation, and we do get, battle debris, as we're talking about, casualties of war, and we need to get them out. A lot of times the turmeric can work synergistically along with different herbal medicines to help stimulate the lymphatic system, because the lymphoid organs, they store a lot of our white blood cells that are released to go into the battles, and we need to really keep the lymph nodes clean, because a lot of action takes place there. And then also the bone marrow is critical to boosting the immune system, because it's a constant generation plan, if you would say, speaking in analytical terms, that really generates a lot of the white blood cells that are, like our soldiers in our body that attack these foreign invaders and enemies. But while the battle's going on, we get a lot of lateral destruction. And so turmeric works well in the lymphatic system and in the immune system, because it helps reduce these inflammations that are caused from the battle. Amber?
Yeah, I like to use turmeric. For turmeric, I love to say that it modulates or normalizes inflammation, because we need inflammation. It's one of these things, like if you sprain your ankle or you get a cut or you have a invader, inflammation is this pathway of signaling that allows your whole body to realize that all the soldiers need to go to this spot and figure out what's going on and act accordingly. But it's that inflammation run rampant and ongoing when there's no longer a danger that is at the core of all chronic degenerative disease, and even autoimmune disorders, which is the body attacking itself, or even immune deficiency disorders, it not mounting enough of a response, not mounting the response in the right place. And so these herbs, in a sense, they're almost like smart bombs. They have this.
I like that, smart bombs.
War euphemisms, but it sort of applies to this in that it's not that it has this innate intelligence, it's just the way that it interacts with our system. Turmeric is Dr. Terry Willett, who formulates our herbals in Garden of Life. He talks about turmeric as having or creating coherence, being very much about communication. And so it starts with that coherence, even in the gut, like you swallow it down, whether you made a curry with it, whether you had a smoothie or some golden milk, or you're swallowing a tablet that's properly formulated. This coherence starts in the gut, and this communication of coherence passes around to other areas, like your joints or your spleen or your bone marrow, wherever you need to mount this defense. It definitely plays a role in tumor factors. It plays a role in killer cells, but it also plays a role in overall signaling, through these pathways of like what are called cytokines, which are signaling for inflammation and not having it run rampant. So people who have turmeric in their diet every day for their life have a very different immunological outcome than those of us who just come upon it, a month at a time. And I think that's really where the best studies are, is looking at people who eat it every day and why and what role it tends to play. But again, first and foremost, the color of turmeric, it is an antioxidant pigment. And what that means is it helps the cells do what they do better by helping them get the debris out, neutralized and out of the body, and then be able to keep moving forward with their normal functioning. The intelligence is in our cells. And everything that we should take in our body, whether it be food or herbs, should help our cells help themselves. They know what to do.
Yeah, that was well said. I really like that. I was going to ask you, did you have a question, Joe?
Yeah, I wanted to make just a comment. Number one is that I like what she says about the body as a whole. That in the Western medicine, allopathic medicine, they try to compartmentalize everything, and that just isn't the way it works. And one thing that I just hate hearing is just, I've got a cold. I go, no, you don't. Yeah,
I know.
Doesn't that gripe you, Amber? Because I tell you, it drives me nuts.
I got a sinus infection.
Yeah.
I got a flu, even.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, hey, we have to go to a break right now, but we'll be right back.
I want to hear more about
If you have any questions, feel free to email the show. Send your questions to letsstayhealthy71@gmail.com. More of Let's Stay Healthy coming up next on News Talk 730 KYYA.
Are you feeling run down, groggy, and tired all the time? It could be a sign of iodine deficiency. We have a wonderful product at Montana Harvest called Thyroid Care. It has 30 milligrams of all three forms of iodine, sodium, molecular, and potassium, along with 400 milligrams of L-tyrosine, which is essential for thyroid function. It boosts my energy and metabolism, and I don't go a day without it.
Montana Harvest at 1710 Grand Avenue, Billings, Montana, or call for a mail order at 406-252-6969.
Hey guys, it's Kimmy with Montana Harvest, letting you know we only bring in the highest quality of products we can find. We actually have access to a lab down in Arizona through a nonprofit foundation where we can have our products tested so we can guarantee only the best for our customers. So if you want to reclaim your health, stop in today at 1710 Grand Avenue. If you live out of town, we send things out daily. You can call for a mail order or any questions you have at 406-252-6969. Are you using chemicals to clean your carpets, furniture, kitchen, bathroom, and the rest of your house? Cleaners contain toxic halogens that are harmful to your health. We have an amazing all-natural cleaner that you can use anything and everything on in your house. It's made from essential oils, and it will even disinfect and kill mold. Genie's Green Max Pro is the only cleaner I use in my house. It's so natural and clean, you can even use it to brush your teeth. So stop in at Montana Harvest and get your Genie Max Pro today at 1710 Grand Avenue in Billings.
At Montana Harvest Natural Foods and Supplements, you can reclaim your health.
I am here with an outstanding young lady. Her name is Susie Peterson, and she has a tremendous testimony about organic sulfur.
Well, I've had asthma for several years, and I'm on like the highest dose of Advair and using the rescue inhaler albuterol, and just couldn't get off of it. Had to use prednisone on and off. Had to be hospitalized.
What happened when you started using the organic sulfur?
Well, within 3 or 4 days, I couldn't believe the difference. I actually started forgetting to use my inhalers. That was the first indicator.
That's amazing. Congratulations, and I'm glad that you're reclaiming your health because you changed the way you think and you tried some different things. So would you recommend this to other people?
I would recommend it to every single person on the planet.
Awesome.
Be your own success story. Reclaim your health at Montana Harvest Natural Foods and Supplements, 1710 Grand, right next to Mattress King.
Lachelle, I understand you've been taking the Oceans Alive too. What are some things that you've been noticing?
Actually, I've noticed several things. So I've noticed much more energy. I've noticed much more clarity. I've noticed that even my overall essence, because sometimes when you wake up in the morning, you're groggy and you have to really get yourself going for the day. I wake up just raring to go. That is a true sign of energy.
How much do you take a day?
I take 15 drops. I put it in water and I drink it just like a green drink. So 15 drops every morning, like clockwork, and it makes my day absolutely phenomenal because I know that I'm going to be happy and healthy.
That's awesome. Come to Montana Harvest and we will give you the help you need.
The following is a paid commercial program. The views expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its sponsors, advertisers, staff, management, or ownership.
And we're back with Let's Stay Healthy on News Talk 730 KYYA. Let's Stay Healthy brought to you by Montana Harvest Natural Foods and Supplements. 1710 Grand Avenue in Billings, right next to Mattress King.
Okay, we're back. One thing I just wanted to make a note of here is that people have to have an understanding that we want to treat the body as a whole and not as a compartment. And I think when people start doing that, then we'll start seeing results. And the healthcare practitioners, I don't know what to think about them in this country, but I don't think about them. And the other thing that I wanted to add, when we were doing autopsies overseas, and basically what we saw in the brain itself, we could always tell if people were eating turmeric because I tell you, their brain was like golden yellow. And I think that's a good thing. You got to do those autopsies? So,
she asked you a question, Joe, about
what's
autopsy.
That? So you got to do those autopsies. I've been dying to talk to somebody who actually saw that. This is amazing.
Oh yeah, I really did. It was it was incredible, and the people that did it for the autopsies, they were a lot older, most of them, but you could see the residuals from that. Yeah, absolutely. But
that is incredible, because that's been kind of a myth, and getting that affirmed. I mean, please, this is amazing that you've seen that firsthand. That's exactly what people need to understand. It's the long-term use.
Yeah, we saw quite a bit of that, and I would always ask the family. I go, "Did you guys take turmeric?" And they go, "Oh yeah, it was in every meal. They use it in every meal and put it on in everything." So. And
it used to be because it was pretty.
It was.
And it colors things nicely, and it also, creates a sort of a sanitation, for certain meals that you weren't sure of how fresh they were. But ultimately, too, there's descriptions of the medicinal use of turmeric that goes so far back, and it works. It's beneficial for every system of the body. I remember even in Ayurvedic medicine, they recommend that, we're more careful here, but they recommend that women take it when they're pregnant because their baby will be born with beautiful skin, And so there's just all of these cleansing qualities that it has when taken, especially every day as a food. We get into our society, we're like, well, I haven't been taking it, so I better catch up. I'm going to take 500 milligrams of curcuminoids 5 times a day and get all caught up. I want my brain to be that color when I die. But we have to realize it's a daily thing, and you can't really catch up. You just have to start where you are.
Yeah, it's always good to die with looking good.
Yeah, you guys.
Inside and out.
You guys are funny. Hey, I got a question for you though. We deal with this on a continuous basis, and I want to get your advice for our customers who's listening to the radio. But we get a lot of people that come in. They'll get on some kind of antiviral formula or anti-pathogen or bacteria or fungus, and they start working and they get results, and then you don't see the person for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then they come back in and they're going through another episode of the same thing. Mm-hmm. And of course, they come in, they go, oh, my head hurts, my body hurts, my limbs hurt, I'm achy. But respond to that and talk to us about what you think people can do to eliminate that. And of course, you've talked about turmeric because it does help with inflammation. It does more in the body than we realize. But what's your response to that?
God, I mean, it's so many things because, number one, when you go in with this idea that you're going to kill something, if you do, and many herbs, even oregano oil does kill microorganisms. It both mounts your own body's response against viruses. It just the whole immune response gets upregulated, so whatever needs to be routed out. But it also can actually, on contact, kill certain microorganisms. And so overuse can cause a die-off of even your bacteria and yeast, all kinds of fungal organisms. So you go in with that idea of killing. Again, it's this your battlefield is full of bodies. You got to clear them out. Mm-hmm. Is your lymphatic system able to do that? Is your cellular functioning optimized? Do you have enough micronutrients? Do you have enough zinc? Do you have enough selenium? Do you have enough magnesium and manganese and even copper to be able to run the enzymes that have to clean all these things out of your body? Do you have enough proteins to make more immune cells and signaling molecules and everything that you need to do? Are you able to clear it out? And if you are not, you get this healing crisis. This is that plateau, that bottleneck. And it happens in detoxes, and it happens in, killing off microorganisms. It happens in recovering from some kind of a microorganism imbalance, we'll say, that some people might refer to as a cold or a flu or whatever. And so there's both, this concept of, again, detoxifying and also supporting nutritionally and supporting with herbals, and also not overdoing the bomb dropping. For years, my main health problem that I had in my early 20s was candida. And I was like, kill it with this, kill it with that, let me try this, let me try that. And later I wound up counseling a lot of people through candida. A lot of the doctors I work with wanted to put them on this antifungal, that antifungal, and then diflucan and nystatin, and then this and that. And then they were like chronic yeast issues, chronic entrenched imbalances. And I just, at a certain point, I was like, let's just stop the killing. Let's start growing a garden instead.
Yeah.
It's like the Brooklyn, let's grow a rooftop garden instead of fighting each other, right? How do you grow the right balance of microorganisms so that the yeast that you have are just like, nobody's even paying attention to me anymore. What do I do now? It becomes a non-issue.
Yeah, you bring up some really vital points in pre-immune stimulation. Is that you need to have your body in balance with minerals and nutrients and hydration and good blood flow and circulation, oxygen in the blood, really striving to increase cellular antioxidation and good proper health. And I think one thing that happens is the way people eat in their diets that they eat, they affect all these different balances in the body, because a lot of people are depleted in minerals and like you were talking, especially trace minerals. And Joe's an expert on a lot of these minerals and trace minerals. But when the body gets out of balance, the homeostasis isn't there from a cellular perspective. It affects the entire body. And you were talking about the digestive system, the different bacteria overgrowths that can happen when you don't have enough bacteria down there. And a lot of these different, the battlefields, the casualties of war really they do more in the body than we realize, because they neutralize a lot of the antioxidants and a lot of the minerals that stimulate the immune system is a better way to see it, and keep it functioning properly, especially with all the lymphatic system and the organs that produce the white blood cells, the leukocytes and and everything that's critical. So you bring up this point that I want to talk about with Joe too, is that we have to have the right mineral and nutrition balance as well as bacteria balance in the gut, which of course affects our nervous system through the brain, that causes strength and
definitely.
Things that the body has to have to operate. Joe?
Oh, no, I wanted to hear Amber's take on that.
Oh, okay, Amber.
There you go, buddy.
This is Vitale.
People say they have a cold and they don't really, what does that mean? I mean, and this is really it. It is all interconnected, and nourishing the body first and foremost. You can't go and say, I heard fasting is really good for my brain and it will help with autophagy and it will help with all this and it'll help if I'm sick. You can't fast if you're not nourished. What are you going to utilize for cleansing your body if you're not already nourished? And so it's really not the first step for so many people. Even a detox, I wouldn't enter into a detox with somebody if I haven't first nourished them. I mean, you're in Billings, right? Is that where you're located?
Yeah.
I mean, cattle country is full on, right? I mean, I was just up there in Montana, and the cows were grazing in grasses up to their cow pits, but you still put out salt licks for them. You still do this. I'm a farm girl. I had horses. You give animals a chance to have other minerals. They're drinking out of natural streams and waters and ponds with sediment. What do we drink out of? Water bottles, or completely filtered water coming through our taps with nothing but iron from rusty pipes and lead from old infrastructure. We don't get trace minerals at all. Where can you get them? Well, you can go get like a concentrate trace mineral supplement, something like that. You can do magnesium powders. You can do things like this, but also cook up the whole animal. Make your broth. Ultimately use all of the parts. Make vegetable broths and vegetable stocks. If vegetarians, herbivores like cows, need a salt lick, don't you think we probably do too? We're not eating nearly as many plants as they are, even if you are a vegetarian. So those trace minerals are fundamental to everything else. What's amazing about a lot of herbals, turmeric is a root, rhodiola is a root, ashwagandha is a root, ginseng is a root. These roots take on very nourishing qualities because of the way that they grow and the where that they grow. Even organic farmed roots need to be grown in an environment that allows them to develop the right constituents, which means they have the right mineral content in the soil, and that makes them super nourishing. So anything like that is in an herbal formula that is, maybe it says stress support, maybe it says adrenal support, maybe it says sleep support, maybe it even says reproductive support or libido support. It all comes down to nourishment of those tissues. Very importantly, the nervous system that then supports, your stress response, and then that supports your hormonal responses in your body as well.
Yeah, that was very good. I really like that. One thing I wanted to ask you about is the gut health. And Garden of Life makes, I think, in my opinion, one of the best probiotics there is, especially for women, men. You have the Ultra Care. I know you have much more, but
that Ultra is the bomb, right?
Yeah, oh man, that's my favorite one. I think that's the best probiotic I've personally ever found that I take. And
I've seen it work instantaneously on food poisoning. In the day, you're better.
Yeah, and so anyway, the balance of the good bacteria, the ratios in the digestive system, it affects the whole body. The 80-20, % good bacteria, bad bacteria. But the probiotics that Garden of Life produces I think they have like 15 strains. They're 50 billion CFU. I mean, to me, they're extraordinary, and they have the different strains, and the strains are protected as they go down into the digestive system. So talk about how, because what I really hear you say and what I really see where we're going is that we're talking about not just a 30-day experience of trying to stimulate or boost our immune system based on the knowledge that we have, but what we're talking about is a yearly type diet and health and nutrition and herbal supplementation that's going to maintain the balance in the body. But we have to look at everything. We have to look at all the organs that produce the white blood cells. Yeah. We have to look at the lymphatic system. We have to look at the digestive system. We have to have this whole body wellness in balance, really, to sustain these attacks and battles. And then, of course, the environment. We got to be detoxing on a regular basis while we're maintaining good, healthy, nutritional balance in the body. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I used to think before we knew anything really about the microbiome that, herbals somehow they had this magic intelligence. They went into the right tissue. They this one gets into your lymphatic system, this one gets to your liver, this one gets so on and so forth, this one gets to your spleen. It was just sort of all mysterious and magical to me. Once I understood and started to really investigate this whole concept of our microbiome, I realized that it just loves herbs. Like the microbes that can really do things for us, they munch on those brightly colored things like the elderberry or the bright color of curcumin and the turmeric. The red and blue polyphenols that are in berries that you eat, they benefit from that. And the organisms that can do good stuff for you initiate this signaling, just like I said with turmeric creating coherence, they initiate this signaling in the body that overall makes changes throughout every system in your body. But it starts with the microorganisms in the gut. If your gut, though, is really a desert with respect to the diversity that should be there, you may not respond as well to herbs or to brightly colored herbs or vegetables or fruits initially. You get people who have nightshade sensitivities. That, one of the things that makes me crazy is when I overhear in a market, oh, well, I don't do nightshades. They're very inflammatory. And I'm just like, most of the world eats nightshades. What are you talking about? Like eggplant, peppers, tomatoes, ground cherries, ashwagandha. Like, there's so many great nightshades out there. They're very rich in these immune-stimulating, cellular-stimulating, antioxidant-stimulating compounds. But if you don't have the nourishment and the microbiome to translate the information that's coming in that food or that herb, you're going to feel all sorts of out of balance. And so why we use probiotics is like, you'll like this if you're in the military, this is like the coordinates. This is like the GPS coordinates that are given to the aircraft carrier to change its course as it's going to head in a different direction in the seas. It's the instructions.
Yeah.
We don't take probiotics simply to colonize those bacteria that are on the bottle. They play a huge number of roles. Some of them never colonize. Some of them just release certain signals. Some of them become fodder for other organisms that are inside of us that we can't culture outside the human body. Having certain lactobacillus-type bacteria actually increases your bifidobacterium strains. So lactobacillus are in the small intestine.
Yeah,
so
are you there?
In the large intestine, typically, and higher lactobacillus strains, particular ones, you raise your bifido count, and that's been huge, like in autism, for example, and kids on the ADD, ADHD spectrum. You raise their bifido, they do much better.
Yeah, one thing I like what you're talking about and what I'm really hearing is that you got to feed the bacteria in your gut, and probiotics do that if you get the right ones. You got to feed the bacteria because that's what really produces great effects for the immune system, great effects for antioxidants and fighting free radicals and dealing with diseases and activating the lymph nodes and everything. You got to feed the bacteria. So that's why probiotics are so important.
First line of defense. If you have an immune issue, too much immune reaction, like autoimmune, too little immune reaction, you're getting sick all the time, probiotics are the first thing. It's first and foremost. You can't just come in and say, oh, I'm sick again, let me just get some elderberry. Like, oh, you were just sick 2 weeks ago, and before that a month ago. Like, what's going on? You need a foundational support. You need some instructions for your body. And those instructions come in the form of seeds, which are probiotics. But then you need to feed them. Some probiotics feed other probiotics. Absolutely true. This whole concept of prebiotic, probiotic, the line can blur a little bit. Yeah. You have to feed them. And if you don't have a good diet yet, because you don't crave it yet and you don't know how to do it yet, then give your gut, with your probiotics, some fiber, give it some resistant starches, and give it some brightly colored, some greens or some antioxidant powders or something like that. It's not just for you and your cells. It's for your microbiome.
Yeah, that's good.
Inside of you.
We got to go to break, Amber. That's really good. And we'll be right back and continue on.
If you have any questions, feel free to email the show. Send your questions to letsstayhealthy71@gmail.com. More of Let's Stay Healthy coming up next on News Talk 730 KYYA.
Hey guys, it's Kimmy with Montana Harvest. If you want a whiter, brighter smile, come in for My Magic Mud. It's an all-natural whitening tooth powder that's vegan, cruelty-free, gluten-free, non-GMO, and fluoride-free that cleans, polishes, whitens, and detoxes your teeth. And it works. After one use, I saw results. If you want some My Magic Mud, stop in today at 1710 Grand Avenue in Billings. Open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Sunday, 10 to 6.
Hi, this is Michael Ray from Let's Stay Healthy. At Montana Harvest, every bite has a story, so let's think before you eat. Your food choices do make a big difference in good health and nutrition. We have a complete selection of organic groceries, frozen fruits and vegetables, dairy products, and more. Remember, let's stay healthy. You can shop with confidence for all your natural and organic food choices at great prices at Montana Harvest, 1710 Grand, right next to Mattress King.
Are you wanting to lose weight, eat healthier, or detox your body? I'm Kimmy with Montana Harvest, and I'm excited to announce that we just opened up our brand new raw organic juice bar. We have a variety of juices on our menu that taste great for all ages. If you want to try juices that are not on the menu, we can customize a juice for you. Fresh juice is a great way to consume a wider range of fruits and vegetables in your diet. Juicing allows your body to get more nutrients and feeds the good bacteria in the gut, helps fight cancer, helps lower cholesterol, boosts your energy, and makes you feel great. Come check out our menu. My favorite is the wake-up call. It's better than coffee. It has apples, parsley, carrots, celery, lemon, and ginger, and it'll wake you right up. Our juice bar hours are from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Saturday, and come check us out at 1710 Grand Avenue in Billings. Montana Harvest is now taking appointments for QRMA testing. It's a quantum health analyzer that picks up on the electromagnetic signaling that our body emits. It picks up on normal signaling or abnormal signaling, deficiencies, and even heavy metal toxicity. It does not diagnose or treat anything, but it's a great way to get a baseline of where your health is at. So stop in at 1710 Grand Avenue or give us a call to make an appointment at 406-252-6969. Magnesium is a master mineral. It regulates over 380 different body functions. And anytime we're under any type of stress, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, or even environmental toxins, our body releases magnesium. So unless you're replenishing more than what you're releasing on a day-to-day basis, you're going to keep depleting your stores. Common symptoms of magnesium deficiency vary from muscle cramps, leg cramps, heart palpitations, anxiety, stress, and even depression. The best and most bioavailable magnesium is the Ease. It's a transdermal form that you spray on topically. Get yours today at Montana Harvest, 1710 Grand Avenue.
And we're back with Let's Stay Healthy on News Talk 730 KYYA. Let's Stay Healthy brought to you by Montana Harvest Natural Foods and Supplements, 1710 Grand Avenue in Billings, right next to Mattress King.
Okay, we are back, I guess. Anyway, yeah, I really like what Amber's saying, and what she's saying is absolute truth. It's an absolute truth.
Yeah, it's good.
These people say to me, hey, is there a cure for this? And I laughed. I said, that's an overused word. What we do is we're looking to create homeostasis within the body. And that's what we did. When I was overseas working, and I was there for a lot more years than I've ever been in the United States, is that we integrated people into the environment and what we were doing to get them to create homeostasis within the body. And that it worked. 80% of the people were able to achieve homeostasis and go on home. And the people that didn't, they were just too far gone. So, Amber, if you could address that.
I love that word.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you should address this because people don't have an understanding of what we're talking about, really.
Well, homeostasis, I mean, it's a big word, which just means like basically situation normal. Like what is the balance point for your cell, for your tissue, for your organ, for your body, for your greater environment, for your family, for your works. The homeostasis is at so many levels. It's on a microscopic level and a macroscopic level. Homeostasis is something we use when we talk about CBD and the endocannabinoid system, which is a system of receptors that sits in all your other systems and helps achieve homeostasis. It seems to be a communicator. An adaptogen is a communicator, and CBD seems to work like an adaptogen. It helps your body achieve situation normal, not comfort zone, although, our cells do kind of like that. But what is the most energy efficient, energy conserving balance point for the body? And we have to realize that we live our lives as though we're constantly under threat. The chemicals dump from our cells under stress because you're worried about, your mother-in-law, your taxes, your bills, your boss, your kids, like the worry. Chemically to the body is no different than you're being chased up a tree by a saber-toothed tiger.
Hey, I got a question.
And if you can realize that, you've got to modulate that response.
I got a question for you because, Michael, because you were talking about the environment and the toxicity in the air we breathe, the water we drink, the foods we eat. But, a lot of times we don't identify poor immune systems or episodes that we go through with stress. And the reason I was thinking about that as you were talking is that you see a lot of stress-induced sicknesses that cause these physical manifestations. So for an example,
exactly,
you see people that get cold sores when they're under a lot of stress. You see people start developing colds when they're under a lot of stress. Obviously, cardiovascular diseases and on and on and on the list goes. So stress is probably one of the major contributors to our immune deficiency. And then also, we don't deal with stress from an herbal perspective a lot of times, and we need to do that more, because I think, this is my opinion, Amber, and I'll get you and Joe's take on this, but I think if we dealt with stress more, through meditation, breathing, herbal supplementation, that it would really help our immune system come back into that homeostasis. So what's you guys' take on that?
I defer to Amber. She speaks for me.
I'm going to have to call in later and just have a conversation with you, Joe, because I want to hear your stories too. But I mean, look at elderberry. Okay, so why do we choose elderberry for immune support when we have a sore throat? Because usually we don't run to the store to get it until the flu season, quote unquote, is upon us, right? We don't think about, it's the end of the summer, we're going back to school soon, let's start taking elderberry. It's full of these things called anthocyanins. Cyanin is cyanide. It's a carbon-nitrogen molecule that we think of as bitter but also poisonous in high amounts.
Could you say that again 3 times? Cyanide.
I know, cyanide. So it's what most people, I'm sure most of your listeners do not know about antioxidants, is that they are made by the plant that is under stress to protect it. And when we eat them, they have this sort of cellular stimulus in our bodies that upregulates the cell's function to handle stress. Stress is not just your taxes. Stress is not your worry. Stress is not running from a beast. Stress is also, as you just said, the pollution, your environment, your toxic work environment, the bad food that you ate all last week. That is a stress on the body. Bad water is a huge stress on the body. And I just think about a stray dog that is always running from hole to hole to try to find shelter every night, searching for food, eating rotten food, under stress because of that, being chased, being hit, and being beaten. They are so unhealthy and they're so susceptible to disease, and they're going to live a short life.
That's
and
really
we live
really
like
good.
that all the time. And that is the fundamental problem with our immune system.
Yeah, that was really well said. I must say, I know Joe agrees with me, but I really like that about what you said about the plants. When they're under stress, they produce this particular property, and that was really well said. I think that's really the heartbeat of what we're really talking about, is how do we eliminate stress to increase our immunity throughout the year so that we can maintain wholeness, whether we're going through a toxic environment, or where we get some bad water, or we get some bad food, or whatever the case may be.
Toxic thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I see people, they get under stress, heavy stress, and they start having the shingles virus breaks out. So, I mean, case in point, I mean, what you're saying is true. So, hey, it's good to take these herbal extracts because they actually work and reduce stress.
Yeah,
Joe?
I was going to ask Amber, what's your some of your favorite adaptogen type of herbs for people might be able to...
You got me. I will die with ashwagandha in my hand. It's for me... It's not for everybody, but it's a small percentage that doesn't do well with it. But it is such a wonderful adaptogen. Rhodiola works so well for some people. Tulsi, if you have a hotter, heavier type of constitution, Tulsi might be a better adaptogen. Holy basil for some people. These are things these are the hacks. These are the bridges. You can't meditate. You can't sit down and pray. You cannot sit down and breathe deep. You're just like, I'm too stressed out to do it, right? What do? You do the best thing you can. And literally, if people said I can only afford 2 supplements for my immune support, I would give them a probiotic and adaptogen. Probably before I would give them an antiviral, an echinacea, immune stimulant, something like that. I would go to the fundamental problem. Probiotic, prebiotic, and then adaptogenic support, because it's usually, as you said, I keep getting the shingles, I keep getting a urinary tract infection, I keep getting, this, that, the other thing, outbreaks of acne. I mean, all of these things are related to an imbalance in your immune system.
I think we really hit something really powerful here and really critical. Is we're looking at foundational principles of why and how to respond to different things that we encounter. And we're looking at herbal extracts for reducing stress, because how many people, I think you really are bringing something out that's really powerful, Amber, is that we sometimes look at we look at the symptoms rather than the actual causes. And by looking at the stress, we're opening up a new world of how to deal with increasing immunity in the whole body, because we're starting to look at what are the real root causes of this. It's not these manifestations of the shingles and all the different things, the colds, the flus, and, all the other things that can develop into serious diseases, but we got to really start looking at the stress, when we're dealing with the immune system, what's really causing it. I really like how you are taking that approach, because you're giving me a different revelation of how to deal with the immune system, and I appreciate that, and thank you for that. But that was really good. I know we're getting ready to go into the last 2 minutes of the show, and so, Joe, do you want to say something?
How much ashwagandha do you take, Amber?
So, we have a great 600 milligram tablet. It's the best price on the market for organic ashwagandha. So I use that. But traditionally and typically before we had one, I would take a gram or two at a time. I literally just kind of throw it down. Ashwagandha is a food. Turmeric is a food. Rhodiola is a food. Astragalus is a food. Ginseng is a food. These are things that you can use to nourish your body. But, I love that we have a tablet that's 600 milligrams, which is where the research landed on not only reducing the cortisol response, normalizing it, but down the road, your TSH was better, your triglycerides were better, your lipid profile was better, your liver enzymes were better. Everything else down the road normalizes, even for things like cardiovascular disease, just from treating the stress with ashwagandha. It's fundamental.
Cool. Well, that's great. Okay, but you also talked about basil holy tea.
Yeah, holy basil. Exactly that. Drink it.
Okay.
Drink it as a tea. Taking it as a capsule, that's more convenient. Maybe you don't like the taste of the tea, but I truly believe that if you don't eat these things in soups and as foods, you kind of have to take more of them in supplement form.
Right.
Because you're not probably taking it the way you should. You're putting it down with ice water in the morning, instead of the way that it would be traditionally taken. But Tulsi is such a good, you have a stressful days at work, be sipping on Tulsi tea. It doesn't have the same mouthfeel as a latte.
Yeah.
But, food is medicine.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we have about 20 seconds left. You want to say anything, Michael?
Hey, I just want to thank you for coming on, and really like to have you back again, of course, and was really good information. Yeah, really good information. I really like the different areas that you got into.
I want her back on. I want her to come up and do a seminar.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, we're out of time, so we want to thank everybody for joining us. Okay, look forward to it.
Remember, you can hear Let's Stay Healthy on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8:05 a.m. If you missed anything, you can hear the best of Sundays at 8:05 or check out the archive shows at newstalk730.com. Let's Stay Healthy is proudly brought to you by Montana Harvest, where if you give them 30 days, they'll give you your life back. Now be healthy and have a great day.
The preceding was a paid commercial program. The views expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its sponsors, advertisers, staff, management, or ownership.